8th, 2025, Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. The board did previously meet in closed session under exception C9, C1, C11, and C21. With that, can I get a roll call?
Yeah.
Mr. McBride. Ms. Fabian.
Present.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Riddle.
Present.
Ms. Hannah. Ms. Lensing.
Present.
President Ewing.
Here, we do have a quorum. The only board members absent only board member absent is Mr. McBride. With that, I'd like a motion to resume open session.
Moved.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lensing, seconded by Mr. Riddle. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We are in open session. Mr. Briner, if you do me the pleasure of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. My president's report is going to be brief this evening, but I do want to thank everybody for coming out. I appreciate those who understood the adjustment that we had to make last Tuesday when we canceled school and the meeting. I also would like to just have a moment of silence. Our community has been dealing with a lot of loss and death and fear. And so I would like to take a moment of silence to acknowledge those that we've lost and many in our community that are living under fear right now. Thank you. As we continue to monitor what life is like under our new administration, I know the superintendent has been very, very active with sending out communication to families. There was communication that was sent out today, which I'll read from briefly just to make sure that those who may have missed it, as well as the community members, are aware. Today it was officially announced that the president is ordering a pause on all federal grants. We understand that this may cause immediate concern about the funding of crucial programs within our district, but we do want to ensure that we anticipate being able to withstand this pause without any interruption of services. Thanks to sound budgeting practices, our district has the sufficient reserves to cover our federally funded initiatives that have not already been fully reimbursed. While we await additional information relative to reimbursement, our financial planning ensures that important program services and staff salaries will remain unaffected during this pause. This includes our vital National School Lunch Program, which provides free breakfast and lunch for every student each day. As a district, we will continue to monitor the situation and how we will be impacted this year and into fiscal year 2026, while also taking guidance from the Regional Office of Education and the Illinois State Board of Education. So this is my only reminder and plug, is that elections have consequences, and so as we go into a local elections, that we keep in mind how these different things and decisions impact our school and school district. So this concludes our president's report. Our student board members were able to make it due to other commitments. Do we have any special recognition and presentations this evening, Mr. Alzakis? No. And with that, at item 8A, approval of closed session minutes, it's recommended. Go ahead, Superintendent.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the closed session minutes dated August 20th, 2024 and September 17th, 2024, previously reviewed in closed session.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lensing. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. And then we got approval of the minutes for open session meeting of December 10th, 2024.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the minutes for open session meeting December 10th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lindsay. Any comments or questions on the motion? On the 10th? Yeah, you were.
I just had that open.
That's what Ms. Hannah was here on the 10th.
I believe you were.
Yeah, Ms. Hannah. So all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. We do have our opportunity for public comment. This is opportunity for the community to address the board. When I call your names, please come up to the microphone. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. If you need additional time, we will, for translation services, we'll get 6 minutes to allow for that translation. We do ask that you refrain from mentioning student or staff member names in your remarks. And if I mispronounce a name or don't say it correctly, just correct me at the podium. So the first 3 names are Armani, and I believe that's Davis. And then there's a Mr. Howard, and then Catherine, maybe Scott. But if you guys will come in that order and correct me if I mispronounced the name. Is it gonna be? And I'm just asking from a procedural point. It's gonna be 3 minutes altogether, Brother Blanks. Okay, and they'll go in that order. Okay, thank you. Yes, they did. And so, including yourself, Brother Blank. So all 4 in that. Understood. So we'll do 3 minutes. Just keep restarting it as they get to the end. So go ahead. Test. Wait, we'll make sure that it's all.
You tap at the bottom. Oh yeah. Turn it on. Like push it in.
There's a button.
Next to rescue.
Hello?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. And if we can restart the clock, and then the only thing that I'll ask is before each speaker starts speaking, if you can just state your name.
Okay. My name is Armani. I'm the vice president on behalf of the National Independent Black Student Union. And this here is my my board here. You know, first we have...
I'm the president of the Black Student Union. My name is Khalif.
I'm the secretary of the Black Student Union. My name is Catherine.
My name is Caden. I am the event coordinator.
My name is Krista, and I'm the community outreach.
Okay, so who are we? National Independent Black Student Union, also known as NIBSU. The National Independent Black Student Union is a team consistent of committed members working for all black students or all students and youth to have equitable education that is free of violence, hatred, racism, and discrimination, and miseducation.
Our objectives is to teach all black students and youth that accountability first begins with oneself, and to support, guide, and train students that approach for demanding a just and quality education, and to ensure that no child who demonstrates a desire to move ahead is left behind.
And this is our union apparel. Our student union has awesome sweaters, and we all are about showing it off our spirit. These sweaters aren't just about looking good, they're also a way for us to look like a team and support each other. Plus, every Tuesday, we're all about wearing our hoodies and rewarding those who wear those consistently. So let's show our school spirit and make fun and rewarding experiences for everyone.
So, union guidelines. First, academic expectations. All grades should be maintained at a C or better. Complete all schoolwork assignments promptly and attending all classes on time. If grades fall below a C, participation in certain events will be limited, and members will be expected to work with the union to improve their grades. Laws and expectations. Communication. Use appropriate language in all union-related communications. No participating in fights, instigating them. Bringing weapons to school. No, do not wear your hoodies on, or do not have your hoodies on in school with the Independent Black Student Union merchandise. No vaping or using any drugs. Respectful behavior. Treat all members with respect and embrace diversity. Conflict resolution. Address conflicts respectfully and seek help from the union leaders if needed. We are here to help. Time management. Members should manage their time effectively to balance school work and the union responsibilities. Feedback and suggestions. Encourage members to provide constructive
You got it. You got it. You got it.
constructive feedback and suggestions for improving the union. Learn the school handbook. And also, we do have 55 members here at Waukegan High School and 2 at Warren. But overall, just to sum it up, We are the voice of students, regardless of your race. We're here to help make changes and corrections in the schools. We are here for the better behalf of the students and the school.
Someone was Mr. Khalif. Did you still have more, or you got through it? Okay, Brother Blanks, you got some more time? Y'all want to run another 3 minutes? All right, go ahead.
She's also our ambassador for our Latino and our Hispanic community, and because I don't my Spanish is not good like many of us, but she has definitely doing a good job at what we're trying to do and bridge our black and brown community, as I have spoke so many times before.
Yes.
And I've heard. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we at Black Abolition Movement for the Mind fully support and endorse the National Independent Black Student Union, and know that students can be the very best of instruments in identifying and implementing solutions to their day-to-day educational problems and social environment, when effectively guided and directed from a foundation that any and all accountability, whether educational or otherwise, begins with self-accountability in conduct and academics. Then such solutions should be worthy of being introduced or proposed without fear of reprisal or retaliation in their communities, but more importantly, from their educational environments and institutions. We at Black Abolition Movement for the Mind stand ready and in defense of every legitimate effort and solution proposed by the National Independent Black Student Union on behalf of all students, but more importantly, young black male and female students. This is your National Independent Black Student Union, who we are working to not be adversarial to the district or any other unions that you have, but see what we can be as a base in this school, and to allow the students to have the voice and to be the solution in identifying their problems, because students have the best at being able to identify what the problems are, because too often, Black Abolition Movement for the Mind, we've come to find that oftentimes when some adults and bring their issues and say it's student issues, it's more of an adult issue, camouflaged in student issues, but we know the students can identify best and do what is in the best interest of themselves and their education environment. Thank you all for your time and your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can't interrupt. Public comment.
You can't ask questions.
No.
They have some questions?
Nope.
But if you in the future, if you want to, you can always request through the board president an actual special presentation if you want to address the entire board. But thank you. Next up, we have next three names on the list in order: Wygina Briscoe, Ray Vukovic, and Randy Sabecki.
Yeah, well done.
Great job.
Good afternoon. I just want to do a quick update. Last week I had the privilege to go over to visit Oakdale School. It's been to visit the dual language, the two-way dual language program that's going on there. You know, this was my big initiative with the district, and I appreciate the district moving forward with it. So I went last week to go visit the kiddos over there. They are awesome. I went to visit the afternoon class. It's about 40 students in there. My goal was to try to get at least more African American students in the class, but they did get some. So I'm thankful for the ones that they did get in the class. Talk with the teachers just about the challenges that they have, but also the success stories that are happening. It is a pilot program. I do encourage the district to move forward with it. Please don't cut it out for next year. Please keep it on the books. The kids are doing a great job. The teacher and the paraprofessional, they're doing a great job. And I just want to thank Oakdale School for being the first school to take that program on. Enrollment is going on now, so anyone who has kids that are interested in going to this dual language, we need to ensure that our kids are speaking Spanish. And this was my whole thing. You know, we have some, I'm not going to go there. We just want to make sure that our African American kids are learning Spanish. And so this dual language program gives them the opportunity to do that. So I encourage parents to enroll their kids in the program. It's going on now. In the last minute that I have left, I just want to commend you, Brother Blanks, for what you're doing with these students. I appreciate it. I love it. I love to see all the men and the young women involved in this program. I truly appreciate it. And it's so ironic. I was at the high school today talking to the Black Student Union. And so now to see these students come out here today. And I'm going to try to work with the district on what we can do to enhance our Black Student Union, maybe bring them in with your youth. Whatever we can do, I'm for the students. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vukovich?
Good evening. It's a new year, but some of the same issues keep surfacing again. Just this evening, this board is in violation of the Open Meetings Act. You met at 6 p.m., but it was behind closed doors. Public has no clue what you spoke about. There was nothing on your agenda. There was nothing on your notice. Nobody said a word, just said that you met in closed session and you came out here. Illinois has laws. You should follow them. It was a beautiful day today outside. Saw kids walking to school, playing outside. It's hard to believe that just a week ago school was closed because it was such a frigid day. But many people in my neighborhood were quite upset because they went to bed at night with the district saying school was going to be in session, and then at 5:30 a.m. a notice goes out that school is canceled. Now the notice from the superintendent said that the forecast had changed. Well, I look at the weather every day, and from Saturday on, it said it was going to be frigid, one of the coldest days of the year on Tuesday. Yet, our students went to bed, our parents went to bed, the staff went to bed thinking that they were coming to school on the next day. Then, it was so bad that y'all had to cancel a special board meeting and two committee meetings. Now, I understand kids not walking in the frigid weather to school, but adults should have been able to come here at 6 p.m. to discuss the district's business. So, you know, you guys, you say that you want to be open and get things done, but then you shut off the meetings. You talk about things going on in D.C. Who knows? Who knows? I've been telling you for months now, you got to be careful about spending. You don't know what's going to happen there. Springfield has been quite clear that they're $3 billion short for the next year. Evanston-Skokie Elementary District last night laid off, I think it was between 70 and 80 employees, $13 million they cut last night. So you don't want to sit there and keep everything going and then say, oh, everything is bad. We've got to make these cuts and start laying off staff. There's some of these programs, you might have to put them on notice and say, we can't renew it right now. We'll have to revisit this in 60 or 90 days when we have a better handle on finances. But just because you did it last year and the year before, or they offer you a 2-year contract, you better be careful because it could come back to bite you.
Mr. Sabecki?
Good evening. So I just want to say a couple things. At the last board meeting, I made a comment about a FOIA request that I put in, and it wasn't on the agenda. And then when we got to the FOIAs, I was waiting for the FOIAs because I wanted to know why it wasn't on the December agenda. And we just skipped right over it, and I got contact from no one from the district. So I'd like to know how many FOIAs are not being reported and putting on the monthly FOIA reports. Because as I told you, I submitted one in December and got a response back. But according to our December FOIA report, there's only 2 FOIAs in the month of December. and mine wasn't even on there. So that's one thing I still haven't heard back from the district. The second thing I want to talk about is we have a wellness policy in our district. And we tell parents they can't bring, McDonald's and that to schools for their students for lunch and everything else. But we as a district go out and buy pizza, use food as incentives for the students, and it's all through board docs. I ran through the whole bill run. I was like, we have stuff on there for prizes from McDonald's for incentives, pizza for incentives, and a whole bunch of other food for incentives. Just in the last 2 weeks, $5,200 in pizza in 2 weeks. We don't know what's going on with Washington. And as Mr. Vukovich just said, we got to start cutting the spending where it's needed. If it's not for the students and the student activities and that, a lot of these adult stuff, we need to put a hold on them because we don't know what's going to happen. We could fund everything right now, but that money's going to run out fast. And then what do you do when that money starts running out? If it's not student-based activities and that, then we need to start holding off, and put a moratorium on all of it, all the traveling and everything until we figure out what's going on. And I did forget at the last board meeting, I knew I forgot something. In December, I attended the music festival at Jack Benny, and I just wanted to give kudos to them because that was an excellent music festival, holiday festival, and that gym was packed. I mean, all the bleachers were down, they were packed, the whole floor, all the way from the front to that gym to the back was lined with chairs, and it was standing room in the back. So I just want to give kudos, and that's what we need to do more of. And it's good to see the parents coming and supporting their students in the classroom and at these events. That's all I have tonight. Thanks.
Thank you to all of those who came out to speak. If we can get the agenda back up on the screen. Going back to that, part of why we canceled the meeting was due to the weather, and that's also why there are no consent agenda items. Those items, information has been there. It's been presented to the public and the board. It's been ample opportunity to ask questions, raise comments or concerns. I am going to take those one at a time just to give any board member the opportunity to ask a question if they have it. But number 12A, we have renewal of Amplify Education Reading Assessment for school year 25-26.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the renewal of Amplify Education Reading Assessment for 25 through 26 school year in the amount of $83,020.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, at some point, we need to see some type of results for Amplify Education. I know that they're a good company. I know that, but I would still like to see the results from how the impact for the students and how Amplify is advancing academics for the students.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item B, renewal of peer assessments, formerly Edulastic.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the renewal of peer assessment for 6 to 12 math curriculum in the amount of $49,700.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Same thing with them.
Well, I wanted to make a comment that I did appreciate that this one has a link for the data to support the renewal. So this is actually providing us with that background information so we can make these decisions in an educated manner. So I appreciate that. Thank you, team.
Roll call. Or was there another question? I'm sorry. No. Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Now we are at renewal of the TI 84 online graphing calculator licenses for Chromebooks.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the renewal of TI 84 online graphing calculator for Chromebooks in the amount of $42,700.
Motion to approve.
I got a question.
Go Bulldogs.
Yeah, go Bulldogs, yeah. Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Comments or questions? Ms. Gonzalez had a question and then go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When students are taking the test, they're using their Chromebook?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Is there, I don't know. That's like weird to me because the calculator is the calculator, no?
So you're saying the calculator? Or,
Like
I don't understand your question, so let
So-
me let you explain.
This is for the licenses for the software to be on the Chromebook. But don't we have physical calculators? Kind of like the handhelds.
We do. Does somebody? We have both. So
Not enough for each student.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
I didn't know that was allowed.
Yeah, I thought they had to use the physical calculators that were in class for tests.
Superintendent, members of the board, community. Yes, we have classroom sets of physical calculators. Those are the calculators that they are to utilize in class. However, those calculators have to stay in the classroom.
Okay.
And so the calculator apps on the Chromebook allow the students to utilize the same capabilities, but outside of the classroom.
Okay, so it's like more for when they're practicing at home.
Correct.
Okay.
So is it correct that they use the physical ones for the test when they take the
Correct.
SAT or the? Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Lindsay?
I just want to thank the district for this approach because I remember having to go buy my own TI 83 and 4. And I'm really jealous that this is available right. Yeah, 20 years ago, what? And so like if you lost that calculator, it's a big investment for our families. For the district to shoulder this and then provide the access for them to use it at home and not worry about losing another piece of technology, I'm really thankful. So I think this is great.
Now,
Ms. Hannah and then Ms. Fabian.
how many licenses are there?
We have approximately 5,000 licenses.
Okay, and that's it.
That covers all of the high school students, and we do have 8th grade algebra, so we do have it available for 8th graders as well.
Okay, and this approval will cover all of them.
Correct.
Okay.
Ms. Fabian.
I was going to ask about the 8th grade algebra, but
All right.
you answered it. So.
Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Anna?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are at item D, approval of emergency life safety request, water main repairs at Oakdale Elementary School.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the use of emergency life safety funds for the water main repairs at Oakdale Elementary School. The estimated cost is $6,855.
I motion to approve.
Motion by Ms.
Second.
Fabian, Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Riddle. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I got a question. The water main at Oakdale, was it in the, was it our water main?
Yes.
It was? I'm seeing Mr. Briner back there. It was our water main, not the city's. Okay.
All right, roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. All right, we are at E, renewal frontline professional growth subscription.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the renewal of frontline professional growth in the amount of $53,328.23.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions?
I have a fast question. Hopefully it's fast. I'd just like to know the frequency in which educators are able to get their credits through here? Like, how many of our teachers are using it percentage-wise or generally, or if that's a takeaway, that would be great, because we want to make sure we're leveraging this as much as possible.
And can we add Ms. Frank is coming
not
to
just
the podium.
teachers? Well, correct, sorry.
Because this is for all staff.
Apologies, yes.
Hi. First, I'd like to say I was introduced as Ms. Frank. I'm very pleased to say that I got my doctorate a year ago.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
So it
Dr.
is
Frank.
Dr. Frank.
Yes.
And I'm very pleased to speak to the board about professional growth. 100% of our staff uses it. They use it for their PD activities where we issue PD hours for their continuing ed and their license renewal. They also use it for compliance training. They use it for enrichment training. So the degree to which they're accessing it, it might not be every single day, but 100% of our staff will use it.
And so when you're saying that, is it also plausible that to maintain their licensure, they're able to get 100% of their licensure covered through?
So that is more of a what the district plans for PD activities for staff. I will say, being the person that manages it, we have more than enough hours offered every year that teachers and administrators can accrue the number of hours they need to renew their license in their 5-year cycle. Staff do need to do things on their end to secure those hours. They need to sign in and sign out. They need to complete this evaluation. So we have steps on our end to offer the PD and to prompt everyone to sign in and out when they come. But staff also have duties on their end to secure those hours themselves.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Frank.
My pleasure.
Apologies, Dr. Frank.
Thank you so much.
Well, I just wanted to clarify.
Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item F, approval of purchase of science tables at Lewis Middle School.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education approve the purchase of sign tables for Lewis Middle School in the amount of $32,643.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. 12G GLAD training for school year 25.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to approve the purchase of BGLAD training in the amount of $280,000.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, can someone, superintendent, tell me what we approved for GLAD before? We approved something for GLAD fairly recently.
Dr. Campos is coming up to speak to that.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, and community members. We haven't approved GLAD training for this year yet. Last year, I know we approved GLAD every year. So this is the approval for next year, 25-26.
Okay, so
This one says SY25.
so we approved GLAD, not the organization, right? I thought we approved for the organization or the app.
It's GLAD is PD that we offer to teachers, and so we ask for teachers to take 6 modules to be GLAD certified, and this will empower teachers to have a lot of strategies in their toolbox in order to help students in the classroom.
Okay.
Board President?
200.
Yeah, do we want to confirm, there was a question around, is this for school year 25 and 26, meaning that we've already voted to Ms. Hannah's point to approve for school year 24 and 25?
Right. So in
Yes, this is for 25-26.
It should be SY26. That's what we're discuss
Yeah,
payment
'cause
to make
it's
sure that
not
it's
up
for
here.
next year and not this
Yeah.
Not
current
this year.
So we like to amend the motion to make it clear that it is recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the purchase of BGLAD training in the amount of $280,000 for fiscal year 2025, 2026.
I'll amend
that's
it like
what
that.
it needs to
Yep,
amended.
so do we amend the motion? So
Right.
Rick
I'll amend
agrees
the
to amend his
motion.
motion. Ms. Fabian,
Then I
do you
have a
agree to
question,
move
too.
your motion? So the motion as it stands is that'll be everything as read with the addition of for school year 25, 26. Mr. Riddle had a question.
Okay, so my question is kind of in line with what Ms. Hannah had brought up just a couple items back. I remember the board on these renewal items, and by the way, this didn't say anything about a renewal, but I did do some research on GLAD, and it looks like a very good program. However, months ago, last year sometime, the board had, I believe it was even the superintendent's goal, that we were going to have IT evaluate all of these renewals.
Right.
And that it would be brought to the board's attention when an item came up that it had been evaluated by Dr. Cuevas's office and Dr. Cesario's office, and that their recommendation was this program is used, it's benefited our district in certain ways, and we believe it's worthwhile doing. I don't see that clarity of this renewal.
Sorry, go ahead,
Just for
sir.
clarity, is this one, I do agree with the language, is that the board has requested that if it's a renewal, it be noted. I do want to get clarity, Mr. Riddle, is that this isn't a software, so it wouldn't have fit into
it's not
that
a software.
evaluation process.
It's a training program, but it is online.
It's strategies.
It's there are modules that they're live, so
They're
there is
live
somebody
modules.
teaching
Okay.
them,
Ah,
right?
okay,
There-
it's a live
so there are
module.
6 modules that they go through,
Okay.
and so you're absolutely right what you said, that we were using the Learn platform to determine how we were using, what programs we were using. We're still doing that.
Okay.
This to board president's comment. This is not a software
It's
program.
not software,
right?
okay.
And so this aligns to the work we were doing across the district with teaching and learning diverse learners and with our English language learners. So there are strategies that are applicable across all, and really aligns well with our Literacy for All plan as well.
Right, and it looks very positive too. It looks like a great program as I was reading about it.
It's a very good
online.
program.
It looks like it's really something our kids need, our staff need, and it's a very positive program. And
thank you.
It works with the kids. So yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
And I can say that I got positive feedback regarding GLAD.
Good.
And so all of the staff has access to this.
The teaching staff.
The teaching staff.
It's applicable to, and I believe there's the teaching staff, yes.
Okay, and so I gotta ask Superintendent. I'd just like to see how many staff are actually using this and being engaged with this.
Or even how many have become
How many are
GLAD
certified?
How many completed the program last year?
And we're doing this, it's ongoing because we have new teachers coming in, but then we have teachers that are going through the modules every year. So we do have that.
Okay.
We do have, we're keeping track of who's done what. And so we can share that information
Thank
with you,
you.
no problem.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep,
you.
no
Ms.
problem.
Fabian and then Ms. Lindsay.
So yes, I've also have heard very positive results out of GLAD. I do believe it's great strategies for all teachers. My quick question is, then because I'm seeing new teachers and high school math and ELA, so our high school teachers had not had GLAD before, only preschool to middle school?
So we were phasing this into,
Okay.
and one of the things that Ms. Ambrosio, because Ms. Ambrosio really was the one who really initiated this.
I love the
But
strategy.
one of the things that she wanted to do was to bring someone in-house. It was too costly to have somebody on staff to hire another person. And so this is how we're managing it and we're scaling it up. And that's why we have to do this. It's multiple years. It's not one and done because we have new people coming in and we have other people who are moving into 3rd and 4th module or 5th and 6th module because we started out with smaller groups. It's just simply it's a question of numbers, yes, and that's what it is. We can't do it in mass, right? And some of the feedback that we received from the teachers is that they need the time. They thought it was very good training, but after the first year, we solicited their feedback, and one of the things they said is, this is really hard to do all in one span of a year. So if we could break it down and provide the time, and so we wanted to accommodate.
All right.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, but we're gonna miss the
okay.
game. Go ahead, Mr. Riddle.
When I was looking online about this earlier today, I noticed that it said it's more effective when it's done in groups. So do our teachers work independently on this, or are they able to talk to others and do it in groups?
Well, that's how we try to structure the professional development, is so that there's opportunities to engage with other practitioners so that they can discuss their experiences, what's working well for them, what they need assistance with. We want to foster that collaboration and that articulation because it helps to spark and generate more ideas.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So they do work in groups.
They do.
Yeah,
yes.
they work in groups.
Okay.
So is it my turn?
Yeah.
Great. What could be helpful with the presentations, I love that we're getting feedback from the teachers and you're taking it in and you're adjusting based on what they're saying, what they're needing, etc. So that's great. We have a lot going on with our literacy in this district. So with these presentations, we have the slides. If we could see how that fits into the larger plan,
Sure.
I think that'd be helpful, because as board members, we're all on board for literacy, right? It's just which slice of the pie is this specifically attacking, so that we can always reset, because you guys are in it day to day. We see it from the high
Sure.
level. So that's just
We
a
can
general
certainly
feedback.
do that, but it is just to emphasize a point that I made earlier, that these are universal practices and strategies.
Yeah.
But we will also highlight them within the plan so that it's clear how this fits in with the work that we're doing.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I don't want people to think that, oh, we have all of these things and they're just doing the same thing.
Right.
We want to make sure that we're
There's
eliminating that
alignment.
confusion. Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Thank you. Sure.
And and you guys know me, and the results for the students. How is the work that you all are doing with the teachers, how is it enhancing the students? Because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
And there's a number of metrics that we're collecting from things that we're doing, so we can see the impact for this teacher training and teacher professional development, and look at that practice and then see how it translates to student performance.
Yeah,
so
because-
it's not just one piece. There's not a direct correlation between taking the training and then one assessment that we might see.
Yeah,
it's a number of factors, but we can. No, my point is, we can definitely share those data, those data
Yeah,
points for
because-
us
yeah.
on what we're seeing and what practices we're seeing emerge, because that was how some of the checklists and rubrics were created to monitor our implementation of our literacy plan, exactly like you just said, is looking at teacher behaviors and how they're implementing, as well as how that is impacting practice. And we're seeing a lot of that, but it would be multiple data points. But we can share that with you as well.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
just because sitting here as a board, that's our main goal. The end goal is the enhancement of our student academic improvement.
That's our primary focus.
That's
Yes. Yes.
and we don't want to get too far into so much of the systemic stuff for the adults, and things are not translating to our students.
You're absolutely right. And we will have a presentation in February, early March, to show how we're progressing with some of our goals as it relates to the priorities and our strategic plan. And I think you'll see some of those data points in that presentation. That's something that we're working on right now, so that we can talk about where we're at, where we started, where we're at, what adjustments we're going to make, and then share that information not only with you, but with the public as well.
Thank you. Roll
Thank
call.
you.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We have item H, purchase of partnership with West Ed's Formative Insights Team for staff professional development opportunities.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve to contract to partner with West Ed Formative Insights Team to provide self-selected professional development opportunities for staff focused on enriching and deepening instructional practices at a cost not to exceed $31,250.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Lindsay. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Only that I guess this is a pilot program, so I would like to see, maybe in a year's time how it's working.
And I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
Is it supplementing current professional development, or why are we piloting with this particular program?
Dr. Brown?
Good evening, Superintendent, Board President, members of the board, community. This is intended to be a pilot. I like to start with pilots so that I can make sure that it's something that we want to try to spread. So we're going to use the second semester to pilot this particular way of learning about formative assessment. The reason why this was chosen is because it's a structured opportunity for teachers where they can still do it independently, but we come together as a group to still share our learning and make sure that things are progressing. But it has to happen over time, and this is a way that I think we'll be able to do it and sustain that type of learning.
Ms. Lindsay and then Ms. Fabian.
Oh, you can go first. You had your hand up first.
Sorry, a real quick question. I see that it's self-selecting on the teacher's behalf. Is somebody selecting the teachers who are doing the professional development, or it's like first come, first serve? Once we hit the limit, no more?
For this pilot,
Yes.
it's really
Yes.
coach level and up, because we want the teacher leaders, the administrators to see what it's like, because I want them to really be able to say, this is going to be helpful to my staff, and at that point, we can talk about choosing teachers. But teachers, I do want, ideally, people in the class that want to learn and will actually utilize the techniques
But
and such.
Chosen your core group of who's going to be doing this pilot,
Yes.
is what I'm asking. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Ms. Lindsay.
So to me, professional development is a solution to a problem. So what is the problem we're trying to solve with this professional development?
Always trying to improve instructional practice. That's the specific problem that we're looking at here. We look at it as I think Nate Weber said it really well at our grade level, or what was the name of our grading policy meeting today, is that it's instructional practice for a reason, that we're always trying to practice and improve on that. And we've got a lot of improvement that we can still do. So that's what we're trying to offer, something that we believe will have an effect on student achievement.
So is the intent then to better assess how our students are learning, or if they are learning?
During the course of a lesson, yes. This is not about creating a new test at the end of a unit of instruction or any of that. It's about being able to assess as we go, and for students to be able to self-assess and
Okay.
understand where they need to go in their learning and how they can get there.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Roll call.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Hesitantly, yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yeah, I thought this was something that was going to teach others how to do assessments.
Formative, not
Formative.
summative.
Yeah.
Formative being homework or exercises, or right?
But we can't discuss. We
I
called the
know.
question.
Sorry.
Instructing comments.
Ms. Lensing.
Why can't we, okay,
We
I
called
got
the question.
We called the vote. We called the vote.
But there's comments though.
We called the question. We did the last call, Miss Hannah. So you can still ask your questions, but we are in the middle of a vote, so we have to take the vote, and then answer. You'll gladly answer whatever questions Miss Hannah has. Correct? All right.
Ms. Lensing.
I am a bit hesitant, but I think what's leaning me towards the yes is that it empowers our students to gauge where they're at, and so I'm curious to see where this goes. So if this encourages accountability and reflection, I think it's worth the investment to see. Thank you.
President Ewing.
Huh?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Did you record a vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said yes, and then
I
you went to ask
understand
your
all
question.
that, but it's
So,
doing it for the
again, sorry, but we called the question. It wasn't trying to be rude, but I'm trying to follow the process, which is what you guys have instructed me to do as the board president. So, item approved, motion carries. If there are still further questions, if you can get those to the superintendent so we can get those answered.
Can I make one last comment? Just because I feel like I started the hesitancy, and I am hesitant. My one comment is that $1,000 per a teacher is okay with me. So I do want to say that it's $30,000, but it's $1,000 per each teacher, 30 teachers. So I think that's worth the experiment. Yeah.
Right. All right. Item J, renewal of item I, approval of transportation agreement with Special Education Systems, Inc., Benton North.
It is a recommendation that the Board of Education approve a one-year transportation agreement with Special Education Systems Incorporated for students assigned to Mentum North and eligible for transportation services retroactive to July 1st, 2024 at an estimated cost of $422,000. And I do want to let the board know that Waukegan is up at this time at the basketball game.
Hey.
I motion to approve the recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I have some questions. This is just for the transportation to Menta?
Yes, at this time, who can answer the transportation? I didn't see.
And when are we, as a Board of Education, going to be able to find out how our students are doing at Menta?
You can respond to the question about the transportation, and then I will address the second question.
Okay, thank you very much. So, as you know, Menton North is here in Waukegan, and this transportation is for our students to go to that school only. What it does is it takes the therapeutic environment that they have at the school and brings it right to the student's door, so that the staff that are supporting the student throughout the day are there at the door helping that student get ready and get to school.
Huh?
So
can you explain some of the services or what it might look like for some students that receive this?
So students who attend Menta North has a transportation program, and that's what this is its costs that are associated with them picking up the children and taking them to school. If it weren't for these costs, we would have to pay a bus company or a cab company to provide these same services. This way the students are able to get to school with their staff from the school.
To ease transitions
Yes.
for those who, okay.
Okay, I'm confused. The staff goes to their homes?
The school transportation is done with staff from the school. It may not be the teachers, but it's the Menta staff. It's not a cab, it's not a bus driver, it's staff that are specifically trained with those therapeutic needs.
It depends on the individual, Ms. Hannah.
That's why I was saying if we could give like a student's story to highlight what that would look like.
Can you please give an example of when this would be utilized? A hypothetical example, please.
Sure. So we have many students at Menta that have fairly significant needs. And some of those needs are in the area of autism or spectrum needs. And transportation is a difficult time for some of those kids. Whether that's because they have nothing to do with their hands, or so by having a trained staff member show up at their door, help them feel secure in getting in the vehicle, help them feel secure on the way to school, and will allow them to do a better job in school.
Okay, thank you, because and that's how come we need to hear about Menta. We have not heard about Menta, because last I heard about Menta, it was students that were having behavior problems, not students with autism. That was what Menta was, okay? And I don't know when it changed, because we don't get reports about our students going to Menta. Last I tried to go to Menta, I couldn't even go there.
So what we will do, we will come back and report on Menta and the services and give you an overall presentation on it. So Dr. Cesario, we won't get in tonight.
Okay.
We will come back, or at a student achievement meeting, we'll put a presentation together for the board.
Sure.
About Menta, because
Yes, we got it.
It'll be very, sorry, I
I
didn't
need
mean to
some
interrupt.
clarification, because I've been here since Menta, before Menta was here, but it wasn't for our autistic children.
Correct, and I believe we're not sending the students with behavioral.
Correct.
We're not sending those students, it's students with autism. But one thing I was gonna say is, we can give you general information, we can't be too specific, because
Security reasons.
yes, confidentiality.
Yeah, I know about all that.
No,
but
and that's fine. We can
as
brief
the
you on
board,
that. Of
we
course.
need to know information.
Sure, and we're happy to brief you on that.
Because we're spending $422,000 for this program, but we don't know nothing about Menta.
Well, we say we, right? And I think what we want is
okay.
clarification, right?
Okay, I don't.
And that's fair. So I do know Mr. Riddle's been waiting a long time to ask his question. So Kathy, do you have a?
This is just very quick. I do believe ISB has approved Menta North for a variety of special ed eligibilities, not just a single eligibility.
And it would be really nice to let the Board of Education know.
We get outplacement. So when students are assigned, that's something that we can come back, because there's more locations that we use than Menta. But if Menta is something that the board wants a specific report on, then we can bring it back. But there are other outplacement sites that we use in addition to Menta.
Brandon, I'm aware of that.
That's fair, Ms. Hannah. I'm trying to move the meetings along and make it clear
Let's
is
go
that
so we can go to the game.
it's all be over. It's too late now. They in the fourth quarter. Go ahead, Mr. Riddle.
Okay, my question is, we have a lot of students in a lot of placement centers, Menta just being one of them, and along with Ms. Hannah, I have not ever seen transportation to Menta as an expense before. So is this something new for our district? Is the reason we believe that it will result in better attendance there? I mean, I'm just curious, what's prompted this first transportation need? We have other students that go to other outplacement, and we use a different service for that.
They get paid.
That's a really good point. We did use Safeway.
Right.
Safeway was used. Now we're not. We do not have an agreement with Safeway any longer, and the cost has actually gone up. But we always have had an obligation. If it is written into the IEP, we have an obligation for the transportation. And one of the things that has happened is that we've had increases in the number of students. Some of these students have never even really set foot in Waukegan Public Schools. Their parents may have relocated with their family, of course, into Waukegan, but if it's written into their IEP and we evaluate it, and we agree with the determination, and we've conducted the assessments that are required to assure that we're providing the student with the services that they are entitled to, then we have to honor that. And so these are pieces that are written into the IEP specifically for the student's needs, and transportation is a part of that.
Right. And it says up to, so could
So-
you just give us a ballpark figure as to how many students we might currently have at Menta? Or what you anticipate, because this went back to July of last year.
So that's an excellent question too, and one of the things that we saw is that it's really, we ask for a forecast. So Dr. Bublitz has been up here a couple times for nursing, for transportation, for other services, because we've exceeded what he anticipated we were going to have. So around this time last year, he budgeted for that based on what we currently had, but actually prior to this meeting, LeBaron and I discussed it, and we thought in order to ensure that we had enough room so we don't have to encumber the meeting with a number of items like this time and time again, that we should probably move between 10 and 15%. And then if we have to shore it up again in the spring around this time, then we could do so rather than having a number of meetings. But a big piece to this is that we haven't anticipated the numbers of students that have come in. That's one, and two, the transportation costs have gone up significantly. I think over $100,000 that they've gone up, and that's per month, not as a whole. So,
Ms. Gonzalez.
I just wanted to add really quickly, like to that point, Dr. Cesario, could that be part of the rationale? Because I remember when we had those discussions of Safeway that those were the students that we were considering, but we might not make that connection because that was a different contract, right? So having that kind of embedded in the agenda item history so that we as board members remember that it's not coming out of the blue. We're obligated to service these students, and we always had through a different means.
just clarifying it.
Clarifying, right. We have
Yeah.
identified a different vendor to do this service.
I totally agree. Yes.
Well, that
never
knew again,
Well,
if
it's
they
just
have the
one
IEP, so that's
category.
one category. Let's
It's
not
an,
focus on all
it's an
others.
example. It's an example. I want to make it clear. That's just an example. We were asked to give an example. That's an example.
Miss Fabian.
Before we vote, I just want to make it very clear that we're voting on the transportation services and not on Menta because our conversations went way this way. So I just want to make sure that everybody's clear what we're voting on as far as the public's concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can get on your nerves all day. I'm terrified.
Again, let's before we call the recess. Yeah.
I put a little bit of respect, please.
Yeah. Oh, did you let Brandon know that? Sorry.
Again, want to remind all board members of civility. Everybody can speak their mind. If we can have a roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We have J, renewal of Renaissance Illuminate DNA for 25-26 school year. Superintendent.
Yes, it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the purchase of Renaissance DNA for the 25-26 school year in the amount of $116,921.57, subject to final legal review, and the Bulldogs were up 12 points previously.
I
Good
motion
news.
to
Motion
approve.
to approve.
Motion
Second.
by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, I'm gonna go out of order only because they've been waiting. I want item 15A, approval of the facility rental waiver request, the family of Ms. Shannon Lynch, Wolverton.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education approve the waiver of facility use fees for the visitation and funeral services for the family of Miss Shatton Lynch Wolverton held on January 25th, 2025 at the Waukegan High School, Washington campus.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, seconded by Ms. Hannah. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I have one slight question, and the amount here is different from our achievement and operations amount. So if we can go, so it is reduced, and I know I had sent email questions, but if we can just highlight why this has been readjusted from the last posted board doc amount, that'd be great.
Mr. Moulton, will you be handling that question? I know you were specifically working on that. Okay, Mr. Briner will be answering the question.
Good evening. Good evening, Board. It was reduced because of the hours requested. So it originally was 10 hours. It was reduced to 8 hours.
Okay.
Question?
Go ahead, Ms. Riddle.
Okay. I would like to recommend, I noticed that in our information here, it says that the family has agreed that if we didn't want to approve the entire amount, the board could approve a waiver of $2,040, and that the client would pay the labor costs, which is required to set up tables and to be there and open the school on a Saturday. They would pay the labor costs of $28.56. I would like to recommend that we do that, since this is on a weekend. It isn't fall exactly under our board policy, because it isn't benefiting the community. It's not for the children. It's on a time when school is not in session. We have had some funerals held there in the past, so there is a precedent for this, and I think the board does need to discuss this in more depth at a later time. But for now, I'd like to recommend that the waiver be for the amount that was agreed upon by the family, that they would cover, that we would waive $2,040, and that they would cover the $2,856, which is what is needed for the labor costs. Otherwise, the district is having to put out that amount of money to cover the labor costs to have staff there to set up tables and be in the building, open the building on a Saturday. So that's my recommendation.
Do we have, there's a motion and a second on the floor, but Mr. Riddle, I don't want to call the motion at this time, but raise the point of conversation. One clarifying point, Mr. Briner, was the building already open?
The building was open, that's correct.
All right. Ms. Lindsay?
So I'm of a mindset that if we have previously approved other funeral services without any adjustments to the cost, and we have not yet had that discussion on parameters, because in my email of questions, I think we do need to have a broader conversation because the price point was a bit higher. I think while it has been offered, I think it's unfair to that family, because we're operating under prior what we've approved in the past. So if we want, after this item, to include it on a future board discussion on any parameters we want to put around funeral services, more than happy to. I just don't think it's appropriate to apply to this scenario, because we have not had that conversation yet. But that's my opinion.
Ms. Fabian?
So I agree with both of you that we do need to put in some parameters for the policy, because it does not fall within any category that we have done previously. However, and I agree that we should be community schools and opened, and it may not directly benefit students, but if you're coming together as a community to grieve or to celebrate a loss, I think that does benefit the community. However, in this instance, the family has agreed that they are able to pay for staff, and they're willing to do so. So if they're agreeing and willing, I don't think we're catching them off guard. So I don't know why we would waive the whole amount if they're coming back and saying we're okay with paying the staff.
Yeah, I think okay is if you don't, like they went into it knowing that there's always the possibility that the board could deny it, right? But they, believing that they had the support of the administration, went forward in good faith. So again, the board can do what it wants to do, and they would be on the hook to have to pay that. It would be a financial burden, though, which is why they asked for the waiver and the request. So them agreeing again, I don't want to speak for the family, I know, but that would be my understanding is, yes, if the board came back and said, hey, we're not willing to waive all of the fees, but for all of the same reasons that Ms. Linsing spoke to in Ms. Hannah and the previous precedent is if we want to create policy, then create policy. But I do, yeah, but right now, they followed the process, they came forward, they made the recommendation, they did it, they reduced the hours when that was a concern that the board had about paying OT, and has been compliant. Family that has deep roots in Waukegan, our student who was a student athlete, and continued to serve in and around this community. So I 100% support the waiver. If we want to have further questions about it, I do think that, hey, it's appropriate, the board can bring it up. But I would, to Ms. Linsing's point, ask that we would do that for funerals moving forward, not those that are here.
And
President Ewing, may I ask Mr. Moulton, since we did receive those questions, has been in contact with the family. I don't know if he has anything new to shed, but I know he was walking up, so I just wanted to see, did you want to add anything to that?
Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, staff, and community. So I just wanted to echo what's been said to this point. A full fee waiver has been requested. As Ms. Fabian mentioned earlier, right now we have 5 classifications in the policy. This type of event would not fall under one of the 5 classifications. This is not a nonprofit organization, a taxing body, for-profit, fundraising, et cetera, et cetera. So the full fee waiver is being requested consistent with other events. To set parameters moving forward, that's certainly something the district can discuss because of the uniqueness of such a request. So that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
And can I?
Yes, ma'am.
And seeing how at the last board meeting, we approved a very, very large waiver, $13,000 worth of waiver, and I understand what it was and all that, but this is not something that that is it. Number one, it already happened. Number two, it was more of a community thing, and so $4,896 versus $13,000. Come on.
Go ahead, Mr. Riddle.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to vote no on this. I'm just going to explain my rationale. And that is, in the past, the waivers that we did do, the people who died were faculty or staff members.
City officials.
Except for one. So they were staff members. And I just think, since I know it's taken place already, and I do respect the family and what the policy that we currently have. However, I don't feel the district, we have to be responsible for our money. The agreement has already been made that they said they tried to get a different facility, couldn't find one big enough, and decided that they would ask the school. So, and since they're willing to pay the labor costs, it seems fair to me that we as a board be responsible and pay for that. So I'm going to have to vote no respectfully.
All the question.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Riddle. Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
I will vote yes because this did happen already, and with the clarification, Mr. Ewing, but in the future, I do believe we need to set forth some policy.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
No respectfully.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes, respectfully.
Ms. Linsing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. And Ms. Hannah, if you can go back up to 13A, and if you can continue with the agenda.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the National Siren Teachers Association Conference in the amount of $3,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Did we, I was looking, okay, for Kate.
Ms. Hannah, you're leading the meeting.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, it's
No,
been
Ms. Lindsay.
motioned. It's been motioned and seconded, and are there any comments? Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Motion carries. Next item, Superintendent.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the National Art Education Association Conference in the amounts of $1,846.50.
Motion to,
Motion to approve.
second.
It's been motioned by Ms. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Riddle. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none. Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Motion carried. Next item, personnel, Superintendent.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirements, retirement extensions, requests, and accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002, L949, and G660, except for Schedule F102 for administrative appointments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Quick clarification, that's F1002, administrative appointments. The superintendent just dropped 10.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's been motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions?
Only as corrected by the
Oh,
by legal.
okay, and it has been corrected by legal. Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Motion carries. We are down to, the administrative appointments.
Well, we, I thought we were going to
was
hold
a whole-
that one.
That
No,
we're
thank you.
moving
We're
past
holding
that.
it.
Thank you.
We're not,
That one was held.
I know.
That's
Sorry.
I know.
You were directing him. I apologize.
No, I was telling them not to.
Mhm.
All right, and so
Correct.
we go to,
15B.
the other 15B,
15B. Yes.
New West Waukegan High School course.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent or her designee to approve the explorations in data science course for the school year 26 COG for the amount of $11,800.
Motion to approve.
Second. Oh,
It's been motioned by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Lindsay. Are there any comments or questions?
I have a comment. I think this is going to be a great course for our students. It's an industry that has so many people working in and can be financially stable in, so it's really great that we're preparing our kids with this.
Yeah, and
Just,
Any
I second
questions?
that. That's a great comment. That's.
I have another
Go ahead.
comment.
I have another comment.
you got a comment?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, go
Just
ahead.
very briefly, I would encourage, first of all, this is great, and I agree. I echo what all the board members have previously said. I would just encourage the teachers to also, you don't have to dive into it, but to also mention the implications of AI and,
Yes.
discuss with students the core curriculum as equally as some of the real world implications. So
Right.
that's my one comment. The ethics of it is really important right now. Okay.
Yes.
And I would like to say that this occupation is booming, and our students need to become engaged in learning all of this stuff. Because I heard a report, and they say that this type of job will be one of the biggest jobs that will be out there with this, with technology, with the data, all of that stuff. So I hope that we can kind of go full force with getting our students, really, on board with this type of education.
I would be remiss to say, though, with AI, there's a large environmental factor that it takes natural resources. So I am curious to see the advancements we can decrease the impact to our planet on. So with the AI component, I just want us to be mindful of that. But otherwise, I love it.
Okay.
But data analysis is extremely important, so that part
Oh,
of it
yeah,
is,
that part is
really
fantastic.
important, and will become more important.
Okay, and let me finish this. So with all the comments done, call the question. Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Board President, can we get a basketball update?
With 6 seconds, then it must have just happened, because with 6 seconds, we were up by 3. Congratulations,
you.
Bulldogs.
Yes.
Yes, congratulations,
Good job,
our
team.
Bulldogs. Item 16A, ratification of the second processing of January 2025 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of January 8th, 2025 through January 21st, 2025.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the second January 2025 processing of board bills, mayor check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of January 8, 2025 through January 21st, 2025. The accounts payable board payments for the period of January 8, 2025 through January 21st, 2025 total $3,606,211.31. The mayor check request payments for the period of January 8, 2025 through January 21st, 2025 is total $1,745,096.79. Though National Bank insurance payments for the period of January 8, 2025 through January 21st, 2025 total $0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, I got a comment, Mr. President. In light of what happened yesterday evening with our new administration and the pausing of with the order from the president, and they also, according to Governor Pritzker, they had shut out funding for Illinois. And I am very much aware that at the last minute, the judge stopped the pausing of the federal funding of programs and everything. But however, for months I have been saying we need to stop all the spending. Now we are in an uncertain time for funding for some of our federal revenue streams. We don't know what's going to happen. It's uncertain whether the revenues are going to be there or not. Even though it was paused, it was only paused, well, excuse me, I don't want to mix up the words. The judge stopped it only until Monday. Only until Monday. We don't even know what's going to happen. And so, with that being said, I am proposing a spending halt on travel, PD, outside food purchases, all things other than student-centered activities, and the monthly district obligations until we find out with certainty. And I know that we are, in good standing with our finances in the district, but we want to stay there. And if this, I don't even know, this ludicrous proposal of the president does go through, we will be able to be safe and secure with what we had, but we still have to streamline spending. We just have to do it because we just don't know what's going to happen. And and I know that we had prior approval of travel and conferences that were being scheduled, and I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that we need to think about rescinding those conferences. Kind of with Adriana right now about the conferences and
That's just
stuff.
for board members.
Oh,
I
for
say it
board
just for board members, not for
I'm
teachers,
saying
not for staff.
Everybody.
I know.
Okay.
But I just want to clarify what I say.
Right, for everybody, until all of this uncertainty is over. And just like they say pause, we need to pause too. We're in a good place and we want to stay there. And so we need to just step back a minute and hold on to what we have, because we do not know. We've got 4 years of this uncertainty and we don't know what's going to happen.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. I'd like to address that. I can respectfully see the logic in your thinking and the rationale behind it. However, in instances where our community is facing so much anxiety and change is constant, one thing you learn in crisis management is that when you don't know what's coming on, you maintain the course and you keep things as normal as possible. My professional opinion is that would be the wrong decision for this board to make at this time. It would spread more anxiety, not only with the community, but with our staff. It would give our staff uncertainty. What I can commit to the board is that my team and I are on top of this as much as possible, and I think that that is evidenced in the emails and the communication that has been coming out of the superintendent's office. However, we don't know from day to day what is going to change, but what I can tell you is that we are constantly reading, we are constantly looking at what the state is doing, what nationally is going on, what cities are doing. My team is constantly convening, even if it's on the weekends or even the evenings. We had a meeting today in regards to the budget. We know that we are going to be okay. We met with Ms. Polk. We have prepared for this. However, that does not mean that an iceberg cannot pop up and we may need to navigate a different direction. But I will tell the board at this time, with what is transpiring in our community, maintaining the course at the speed that we're at, being alert of what is in front of us is what is going to give our parents and our community the confidence in the safety that we provide and the normalcy that brings to their everyday lives. So I just wanted to give you that input from 30,000 feet in the discussions with other superintendents around the country and my staff.
So I do think it's okay to bring up, and I think the board should always be concerned about the budget. So that's not inappropriate. I do want to remind us that the item, these are things that we've already committed to. This is paying our bills. So if we would like to, and I don't even want to say have a discussion, I would, right, if there's an actual proposal. This is the first time I'm hearing about any type of moratorium. So we're not prepared. Administration and staff is not prepared to speak to it at this evening. The information that I did read from the superintendent maintains that right now the board believes, not the board, the administration and the district believes that they can maintain spending levels at what has already been approved. If we need to revisit that, I do think that it's fair to come back at the next board meeting, because if there is any non-essential items that we can't cut, but as and I don't want to be insensitive because every dollar matters, but when we were talking about $5,200, we would have to cut a lot more in order to actually be able to see
In order to make a
what
dent.
it is that we are going to do. So while that may sound like it is, it's a significant amount of money that I don't want to minimize. I think that we want to be strategic, and when we're saying we want to do things for our kids, I think the comment around making sure that it reflects policy is important, but then we also say that we value
Program.
student voice, right? And program. So we want to make sure that we are striking the right balance with that. So I don't think it's an unfair question, Ms. Hannah. I do, it's not related to this item. So I just wanted to be clear that what we're doing with this, these are the bills between January 8th and January 21st, and what Ms. Hannah is speaking about are bills that have not yet come, and how do we mitigate some of those expenses. So,
Thank you, Mr. President.
roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Pass.
Ms. Lindsay?
Pass.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. It is 8:39. Are there any committee reports at this time?
Very short one, Board President. On our Wellness Committee, I would just mention that Ms. Hannah and I attended the Wellness Committee meeting on January 16th, Thursday, January 16th. Our next one is going to be a month from then. We had a very productive meeting. We did talk, the board was concerned, as was mentioned previously, or not the board, but the committee, about caffeine and the effects that it has on our students. We discussed that issue at length, and for the time being decided to leave it alone and not to propose a ban on caffeine drinks that are in vending machines in the high school. We were aware that ISB is pretty mowed on this issue. They're not recommending banning it, instead education, and that's what we decided to do, and we'll be recommending that principals and nurses and PE instructors talk to students about the effects of caffeine and overdoing. There's only been a few incidences in the school of that, but we're concerned about it. Mountain Dew is one of the things that's in some of the machines. Our second item that we talked about was the anxious generation. We decided as a committee that we would read that book by Jonathan Haidt. It talks about the impact of cell phones on our students, social media, the need for exercise, the whole issues of what's happening even before COVID with our young people. So that's a book that we're going to read and discuss as a committee. The third item that we talked about was the Illinois Youth Survey, and the results of that survey for Waukegan schools. That survey deals with alcohol use, marijuana use, and vaping in schools. We had talked about this before, and we decided to, as a board, as a committee, to take some action.
Right.
And so Ms. Hannah suggested using the use of posters as a way of at least getting the message out. And then some of our board members, or committee members, again, suggested that we use students to select the posters and get those things hung up in the schools, especially in the high school, both high schools and the middle schools. And Ms. Hannah and I were both directed by the committee to talk to some of our students, especially our student board members, the student council, and I would even suggest, from what I heard tonight, that we maybe want to talk with our Black Student Union folks who have it in their, students who have it in their, I heard it tonight, one of their things is to discourage vaping. So one of our committee members is from the health department, and she sent all of our members some posters that they have developed, and Ms. Hannah and I both looked at them, thought they were outstanding. So she said she could put our logo, our school logos on them.
Right.
So Ms. Hannah and I, before the next board meeting, before the next committee meeting, are going to be talking to those folks that I just suggested, and having them select some of those posters and talk about how they could get those posters up and encourage others to see them in our schools. And then we're going to meet again on Thursday, February 20th. So, Ms. Hannah, did I miss anything? Do you want to add to that?
You got it good. But one thing we were going to do, we were going to be assigned a school.
Yes.
To call and to find out.
Yes, that was to see what other schools are doing regarding the caffeine issue and report back. So we're going to be checking. Thank you for reminding me on that. That's another a task that we have, is that we're going to be. Ms. Dobbs sent a reminder to us as well on that. We want to thank her for chairing this important committee.
Absolutely.
So that's our Health and Wellness Committee. Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay, Ms. Fabian.
So to touch on the vaping component, because while I serve on 2 board level committees, Director Wilson has graciously allowed me to join the safety committee, and so they actually have plans in place and have been putting several programming initiatives in motion regarding vaping. So I would just suggest, before going on this frontier, there's already work being done in the district around vaping. It would be a good idea to have a cross-committee meeting, just so that we're not duplicating efforts and we're really targeting where we need to be, because they have some educational classes going on that they're looking into for the elementary school level. They've put some things in place for middle school and high school. So I think it would just be good for the wellness committee to get an update,
right,
for the crossover. So that may be some feedback to the committee heads.
Thank you.
Maybe
Thank you.
Superintendent, maybe you could have the chairs of the wellness,
safety,
maybe convene a meeting with both committees. And then we could talk about it. So, like you say, we're not duplicating.
Right. With a committee meeting, Ms. Vanderbroek, do we have OMA considerations to put in place for that?
Ooh.
Yeah, we would.
There's more than 2.
Having her clarify.
Yeah.
I think it will depend on the number of board members in attendance.
1, 2, 3.
There's 3, so that's just
depending
feedback
on
to
the
confirm.
meeting date.
Right.
So as you get closer to the meeting date and we know who can attend and who cannot, please get back in touch with me.
Yes. So is that on the board members or is that on the chairs?
We have a process for that. Is when there are going to be more boards instead of a formal meeting, right? We would announce that there are going to be more. And Mr. Alexakis knows that there's a statement that he puts out notifying the community that more than a majority of a quorum will be available for committee work. So
yes, I'm just calling attention to it so that we're proactive and we get that out in front of the community.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you.
Any other committee report? Oh, Ms. Fabian.
I'm going to be really brief. We had a meeting with PTEC January 9th where we had a presentation on PBIS by Ms. Nault. I would just like to ask that presentation be offered as a community event because it gave a lot of information on what PBIS is and how our schools are implementing it. I also want to give kudos to Mr. Dupuy and his team for making sure that we have Spanish translation available and that it's hybrid so people are able to get in online and be able to toggle between English and Spanish. The only thing I would ask is if slides could also be translated. I know that sometimes it's a lot of words on a slide. I used to do English and then the next slide Spanish, or send those Spanish slides directly to those who need it so they can follow along. But other than that, it was a really great presentation. I would encourage more parents to get on there so that it can actually be an advisory and we can help support our staff and students and really give guidance as to what we want to see in the future. Thank you.
Can I make a
Go
suggestion?
ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
Okay, I don't have a report out, but can we get a master list of the committees and who's on it and maybe what they're working on, and then just list it here on the agenda category, on the agenda item, just so that everyone knows, because I feel like sometimes it moves.
That's good, thank you. That's a good thing.
I got the list of committees. I don't have the list of who's on them.
Yeah.
All right. Any delegates report?
Not at this time, but I would like to encourage board members. There's opportunities for us to go have webinars, and we get points. And remember that we are all trying to reach master board member level. Okay, and they do have a couple workshops that they've been advertising. So if you look it up, and it's just a webinar. Long as you go, I mean, long as you can connect to your computer, it's online. They talk, you listen. You can really even interact, but you still get points for it. So I just want to encourage that of our board members.
Thank you. Superintendent's report.
At this time, we'd like to give the Board of Education and our community an update on our summer school plans for 2025. It's around the corner.
Bring the sun.
It doesn't seem around the corner, but it is.
Summer.
We're wishing it back.
So hot. The 90s. So like, oh, it's too hot.
We're so close today.
Just imagine.
Today was, it was like.
My name is Eric Christensen. I'm the Director of Academic Support Programs, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about our initial starts to summer school. It's going to be a very high level, very quick, brief overview. Details will be coming throughout the semester, so as you go through February, March, April, you'll get some more details on it. I just want to hit some of the highlights and some of the points for you. There is a large team that is working on this. We've got Jennifer Rice de la Sanchez, Director of Teaching and Learning. We've got the assistant principals from schools, Lewis and Clark and the high school. We have Melissa DeWitt with us tonight. Mandy Patty is up here with me. We're also working with the bilingual department, diverse learners, pulling in transportation, infinite campus operations, pulling everybody together to make summer school work. The first thing I want to do is what we're proposing for dates for summer school. For summer school, we want to contain it in the month of June, so that with school starting so early in August, to kind of get that all in through June. So June 3rd through June 26th, Monday through Thursdays. So that gives us 14 days of summer school with promotion, retention, and all the things to get done in summer school. We are also proposing a longer day than we've usually had. So not a 3-hour summer school, but 8:30 to 2 o'clock, so 5.5 hour student day for summer school. So lunch would be included, so they would have a morning session, they have lunch, they have lunch recess for the elementary school, PE and electives and encores to kind of break up the day a little bit. So a little bit longer day, not quite a full school day, but a longer day for summer school. For teachers, well, the last day of school for students is the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, is the last day for students. We have Memorial Day weekend, and that Tuesday teachers come for the Records Day. And so we're proposing the next day, Wednesday, to have PD for summer school for teachers. So summer school teachers would come that day in a row, and then they would be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They'd be preparing for Sunday school, so I'd say they're off. They're not going to be off. They're going to be working their tails off to get ready for summer school. But then to start school up that next week, that Tuesday in June, to go through that month. All right? Okay. Next slide. This year's focus is on Tier 1 curriculum. Priority is for students affected by a promotion retention policy in grades 3, 8, and 9, but we're also going to look to extend learning opportunities to students in other grade levels, looking to increase their academic capabilities. Next slide. We've been talking about the promotion retention policy with parents and the community, and this is the year it goes into effect. We continue communicating with parents through letters, report card, other information. Students have been getting interventions and support throughout this year. So we've been talking about promotion retention, and this is the year that we're going to make those decisions, and we've been keeping up with our communication with staff, families, students. Next slide. The decision point for promotion retention will be based on the third quarter report card. This is based on second quarter report card. These numbers are fluid. They go up and down depending on the report cards and the grades. But as of right now, this moment, 92 third graders would be in danger of being retained. They would be required to go to summer school. 8th grade, that number is 200, and 9th grade, that number is 71. So just to kind of go in there, we've got the demographics down below. It's about 80% Hispanic, about 15% African American, about 5% the other races, white, Asian, Pacific, 2 or more races, etc. We're keeping track of these. This is a sample dashboard that we've got. So you see a dashboard where we're keeping track of how many students there are over there. So we've got these high-level dashboards. And the next slide is going to show our individual tracking. Next. So we're scheduling interventions with these students. We're tracking their goals. We're charting the progress. So this is a little snapshot of each student. So each school is going through and looking at the data to make sure that we're doing everything we can so that they don't end up on the list to need to be retained. And we're doing everything we can to learn through the school year. Next slide. At summer school, students are going to be assessed with curriculum embedded tasks, assessments, and assignments, and activities. There will be grades this year at summer school, so that'll be a first, that we'll have grades at least on a weekly basis, if not more, and portfolios will be maintained. So we'll be collecting their work and collecting all the data there. Parent conferences will be held in July to review the data with the parents and discuss the final promotion or retention decision. So we can get all together and get that going. Next slide. Summer school is going to be lots of programs going on together at the same time. So it's not going to be we're going to take all the kids up for retention and put them in one building and have that be that school and everybody else someplace else. It's all going to be side by side, and hopefully the students won't even know who's there for summer school, who's there for just extra help, and who's there for enrichment. They're all in there together, kind of going through there. You see some sample schedules. The students that are there that are potentially to be retained, they'll have some more focused classes. They'll have some targeted instruction as they go through the day. Do the next slide. Middle school is going to have periods. So as the period goes through the day, there'll be some classes that they're in all together, like a social studies class or science class and PE class. And there's some that they'll be separated out for to kind of go through there. So, and there'll be some choices that we'll try to put in there for our students to kind of make it enjoyable for a summer school program. The next slide is the high school. The high school, there's going to be 2 basic parts of high school. One is the, let me just go through here. High school will have 2 sessions of Edmentum computer-based recovery. Students may take either one session or both sessions. There will also be in-person instruction for classes like driver's education, which I'm really hoping needs to be in person and teach them how to drive, please.
Right.
And algebra is a recovery course. So students that did not pass algebra in 9th grade, some will do better on the computer base, but some will need a teacher even in the summer. Even though they took it before, just putting them in front of the computer is going to be the same thing. So that'll be individually based, and we will get students back in front of teachers again. So we went away from that from the pandemic. We're kind of getting back into live in-person classes for things like that. But then there's also enrichment and advancement courses. So we'll have geometry honors. So for those students that took algebra as a freshman, but they want to go into algebra 2 right away, they want to skip over geometry and go ahead in the math curriculum, we'll have geometry honors courses. And we'll have other advancement courses and some recovery courses as we go through. Next slide. So our next steps include continuing our communication with the parents and the community. Summer school positions will be posted in February and March, with staff being hired right after spring break. Many more details will be brought out throughout these next few months as we prepare. There's my fast forward section. So maybe there's something to add.
I got a question. There's one.
Use the mic.
I was looking. Could you go back to that? Or I see. Let me see. I am looking on the summer school. I see credit recovery, right?
Can we go back a slide?
Huh? Yeah,
That
go
one?
back to the.
Yeah, the high school slide?
Okay.
Yeah, the high school. And I am not seeing any kind of literature, composition, or anything on either one.
Right. So this one is just a very high-level overview and it's just examples. So the first track is the Edmentum credit recovery. So every course under the sun is under there. Students are in classrooms, and sometimes they're grouped with, this group is doing language arts, this group is doing math, this group is doing geometry, and they each have a teacher in there with them that's coming around to help them and give them content support while they're doing that. So that's the credit recovery computer-based curriculum. And on the green side, I just listed 3 classes. I just did the driver's ed, the algebra 1, and the geometry honors to show you the 3 different types of classes. The actual classes have not been determined yet, and we will be doing those details as we go through.
But we can say that English would definitely
yes.
be a class that is offered in the summer, yes.
And that's my.
I know, Miss Hannah, that's why I brought it up.
Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay?
I want to say that I love the additions of providing grades for summer school and providing conferences with the parents. I think that's that gives it the importance that it deserves because it's done with intent and it should count for something. And so this allows students not only to see where they're at, but also hold themselves accountable for the grade that they're earning and communicating with the families on how they went. So I'm really excited about that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And next up, we have information items. We can come back to those. Yeah. And so again, we will talk about that or take action on it at the next board meeting. Yep. So as far as student discipline matters, expulsion proceedings. Item 21A, expulsion proceedings, student number NN641.
So
It is-
I,
Do you
Nope.
want me to read that or no?
well, I need to read it because the resolution has been read, right?
Yes.
You need to read it. I go first.
Yep.
and
Okay,
then-
thank you,
Okay, I
Ms.
wanted to
Lindsay.
make sure. All right, so student expulsion modification for student number XXX641. Whereas following a building level investigation, student XXX641 was determined to have possessed a weapon while at school, which under the school code requires a mandatory referral for expulsion for a period of at least 1 year unless modified by the superintendent, whose decision may be modified by the board, parentheses 105 ILCS 5/10-22.6 D2. Whereas the Board of Education of Waukegan Community Unit School District Number 60 did receive and consider the principal's recommendation and the superintendent's agreement to modify the mandatory expulsion period for student XXX641 and the reasons therefor. And whereas the modification proposed is in the best interest of the district and the student and based on a totality of the circumstances, supports the maintenance of a safe school environment free of disruptive influences, which can be a distraction to learning while continuing to hold the student accountable for the student's conduct. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that 1, the whereas clauses are adopted herein by reference as findings of the board. 2, the board concurs with the superintendent's modification of the mandatory minimum expulsion period to 5 days out of school suspension, the days already having been served, and an individualized safety plan. 3, the superintendent or the superintendent's designee is to notify the parents of student XXX641 in writing of the board's determination within the next 5 school business days. 4, the resolution is effective upon approval by the board.
Motion to approve.
Oh, I was waiting for the superintendent to jump in with recommended action, but I move that we approve this resolution as read.
Motion by
Second.
Ms. Lindsay, seconded by Mr. Riddle. Any comments, questions?
No.
Roll call.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
I'm passing because I wasn't in closed session where we were able to discuss it.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Board member time, I'll start with you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Okay, I'm gonna highlight a couple things, so I'll try to be quick because I know the hour's late. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all the organizations who have been preparing our communities with knowledge, insight, and strategies due to the increased ICE activity throughout the country. This past week alone, I was able to attend 3 different workshops, including the districts, to learn and be in community with friends and family who are concerned about this political moment. And I want to urge all people to consider why this moment means a lot for a lot of us. Whether you are a citizen or not, we have constitutional rights which we cannot take for granted. We need to advocate for these rights to be respected for all the folks in our community. I also wanted to send my condolences to the family of Leobardo Diaz, who was murdered this past week. He was the class president to my graduating class. He was a leader in JROTC, and like many other individuals in our community, he should have lived a longer life. As the board president mentioned earlier, there's a lot of folks who are grieving right now, and so my thoughts are with that family and all of the families who have been impacted in the last couple weeks with some of the headlines that we've seen. I want to hold space for everyone who's been really putting boots on the ground and creating safe spaces for folks who are really overwhelmed and burnt out right now. I want to encourage families to, keep in communication with all of the schools, keep contact information updated, know your students' teachers, get to know your neighbors, or, increase that support network that you have around you. And I want to emphasize to all of our students who are in this situation to know that, it's really important for them to be aware for the news and how they're impacted, and to always create a plan for themselves and their families. If we can help even just one student succeed, that will make me really happy during this time. So I think just share resources and keep educating one another, and not spread panic, because if we're ready, we don't got to get ready. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Mr. Riddle?
Yes. It's been a difficult few weeks for many in our community, as fellow board members have said. A lot of stuff going on in our world today. I often read a book of poetry called Life Prayers, a collection of poetry and affirmations to celebrate our human journey together. Brother Blanks was in the audience today, and I know he's a poet, and sometimes poetry speaks to us as a community. So I've got a poem that I read today, and I thought it spoke to me. This is also the time this week we remembered the terrible tragedy of Auschwitz 80 years ago. So this poem happened to deal with that. I just flipped the book open, and this is the poem that came up. We are the generation that stands between the fires. Behind us, the flame and smoke that rose from Auschwitz and from Hiroshima. Before us, the nightmare of a flood of fire, the flame and smoke that consume all earth. It is our task to make from fire not an all-consuming blaze, but the light in which we see each other fully. All of us different, all of us bearing one spark. We light these fires to see more clearly that the earth and all who live as a part of it are not for burning. We light these fires to see more clearly the rainbow in our many colored faces. Blessed is the one within the many, and blessed are the many who make us one. Thank you.
That's not Elie Wiesel, is it? No.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Pardon me?
Is that Elie Wiesel?
No, it's a Arthur Wasco. I don't know who that is. I didn't look him up, but these are different aspirations and poems. It's a book of poetry and aspirations called Life Prayers.
That was beautiful.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. Ms. Hannah?
I just want to say kudos to Smith. John Lewis.
Oh, yes, John Lewis, middle school. Yes, we were there.
Lewis
Yes,
Middle School.
wonderful. Thank you for bringing that.
And the mural
Oh, gosh, beautiful.
That the students, oh my God, it is just beautiful. And I am hoping, Superintendent, that we could get that Miss Gloria Isabel Rivera to come and do more of that with our schools. Let me tell you why I'm saying that. I was very impressed with the process that she used, where she included the students, and they were the ones that came up with the concept with, she did, I think she did the drawing of it, right? Or no?
I think
and they painted
I'm not
it.
sure if she did. I think the kids did, along with
kids.
Waukegan to College. It was those students that were
yeah, the
being
Waukegan
yes.
College.
Beautiful.
It was magnificent, and if you haven't seen it, go see it.
Definitely.
It's beautiful, and we need to. I got her card here. Okay, and I think that more of our students that has that artistic flair, that they would like this. And I think we should do that at our other schools, as many as we can get. Yeah, but she's awesome. Yeah, and that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah.
Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yeah, I have quite a bit to say. So I was at that presentation, and I was selfishly happy I was standing next to one of the students, and she was explaining a lot to me. She didn't feel super comfortable speaking in front of large crowds, but she was guiding me. She did good. But it was nice to see the pride.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest takeaway that I had, is that I've contributed something. Our ideas came to fruition, and it was just nice to see pride on their faces. I was also able to attend the Dreamers Breakfast that the Waukegan Township hosted. That was a lovely event. Last year I could not attend because my car did not start, so I was happy to join this year. And Ms. Hannah was there, Board President Ewing was there, Superintendent Ms. Placencia was there as well, and it was a great program, and just reminded us about the importance of our rights. I'm gonna be a hot mess.
And Miss Hannah was honored as a drum major.
She was.
Yes. Don't
She's
forget
one of
that.
the
As a drum major for
majors.
justice. Thank you,
Yes,
Miss Hannah.
ma'am. I also want to give kudos to our superintendent, because I think when we're seeing things that we want to be seen, they need to be recognized. And I agree that your communication has been at a high level with our families, with regard not only just to the ICE concerns, but also with the budgeting. I'm really appreciative of the timely communication around that. That was done really well. I want to also give kudos to our district event with the Know Your Rights. I know Ms. Gonzalez was there, I was there, and it was nice to see people coming together and being comfortable coming in person around such a sensitive issue that creates so much fear and anxiety within our community, and to see people band together and just wanting to support each other was really nice. I think that this is what we need. We can't control what's going on a national level.
Right.
Sorry for my emotion. We can't control that, but we can control how we behave within our community. And as long as we're supporting each other, we'll get through this. We'll find a way for any challenges that may come. With that, I also just want to comment on, in the presentation, our dual language program, not our presentation, Ms. Briscoe came up for community comment for our dual language. We do have two-way dual language in other schools as well, so I'm curious on the differences on why it's considered a pilot at Oakdale. But I'm just going to advocate again that I'm seeing a really great experience at the elementary school level for my kids, but
I'm not seeing as many avenues for middle school and for high school, especially when it comes to the advanced courses. So I know, that's part of the diverse learner group, are gifted students or more accelerated students, but we're not seeing that through line. And that's something that I'm wanting these kids, because, even especially for our native Spanish speakers, there's talent in there. And they are gifted as well. It's just that English is not their first language, so they should still have access to programming to enhance their education as well. So that's my plug there. And I'm going to close with, we just need to have hope and stay together as a community. And then that way we can handle whatever comes our way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fabian.
I unfortunately was unable to attend the Dreamers Breakfast. It is an event I love to attend every year. I had a medical things I had to take care of, but congratulations to all the drum majors, and I think that's always a great community event that showcases how we can come together and unify. I will say I have been extremely emotional all week. I've been living with high anxiety, just seeing the amount of pain that our community has been going through. But it's sad to see that not only do our students have to worry about ICE, that they also have to worry about our neighbors and watching what others are posting and saying and doing. So I just want people to be very mindful of when they're commenting, when they're sharing, because our families can see it and they do feel it. I also want to remind everybody our schools are required to educate all children regardless of their status or their family status or their perceived status. But we have a moral obligation to support their mental and social emotional wellness. We should be a place of education and safety. And I want to say a thank you, and I appreciate all of you who have been allies to humanity, including Brother Blanks, who came in and really stated how he was bridging our Black and brown communities, but also he's bridging cities within his group. And we need more people to do the same, because this really is a time to unify. It's not a time to be tearing each other down. And we need to support each other and remember that there are children in the midst of this, and they're getting sucked into it. So let's again be mindful and support each other and really be there for our kids. That being said, families, you really need to know your rights, including having a plan, review your workshops that have been posted online if you weren't able to attend, read the resources shared, and most importantly, reach out when you need help. There are organizations, trusted organizations, such as Mano a Mano and ASAS. The ACLU also has a list of lawyers that can help with immigration services. And if you are in a privileged position to help, please help your neighbor. And more than anything, inform yourself. There is such a lack of misinformation, which leads and fuels that xenophobia. So please inform yourself. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to immigration. We know our system has been broken, and we also know that the rules keep changing, especially throughout this administration. And I don't mean to spread mass panic, that's not my intent, but I really, really do want us to have a plan. Prepárense, hagan lo que tienen que hacer para asegurar que ustedes tienen su plan y estén informados y actualizados. And like Adriana said, I think you said it best. If we prepare, we don't have to stress about it later, right? We don't have to get ready if we're already ready.
Mr. Hill said that a couple weeks ago when he was on it, and I was like, that's my motto.
Yeah.
I don't want to get ready. I want to be ready.
I want to be ready.
And I don't want to be panicked. I want to have a plan.
Thank you. Oh, one more thing, and I know it's been a long meeting, but I just want to take note of it. We're never all going to agree on our closure dates or our e-learning dates, and I know that was a big issue on Monday. So I want to propose if we can start looking at doing a hybrid model, because I know parents have that right to keep their child at home if they deem a day too dangerous to go to school. But can we look at implementing some sort of hybrid model? We have invested in the technology in order to do so. where those who are able to get to school, the rest can go online. And also creating a warming center for those days where absolutely we have to close, but having some sort of warming center and a system in place for families to be able to get there, as well as what staff is going to be there to supervise. So I just want to make sure that that isn't lost in the shuffle. Again, if we're ready, we don't have to get ready. And if we have a plan and a system, we'll be good to go next time.
Can I add to that then and share what I had talked to the superintendent, and I was in agreement with some of the public comments that whatever the call is, to make sure that we make it by 8 or 9 p.m. and knowing that we have a viable e-learning plan already, to use that, but that way so that people have at least 12 hours to prepare for the next day for childcare, transportation, anything like that if they can't stay at home. But that was my recommendation. It doesn't have to be like tomorrow that we prepare it, but I had talked to the superintendent and emailed about it.
Yeah. And I echo what the board members have said, but I know many in our community are feeling anxious right now. As a black man, as a school board president, and as someone who understands the way the policies designed to exclude, I want our community to hear that we stand together. History has shown us that when those in power try to divide us, our strength is in unity, as Ms. Lensing reminded us. And our schools are places of learning, of safety, and of hope. No executive order will change our commitment to serving every child, every family, and every member of our community, which is not just our moral obligation, as Ms. Fabian reminded us, but it is our legal obligation under the law as it's currently written. I want you to know that you are seen, you are valued, and in this community, you all belong. This moment will not break us, but it does remind us why we fight for a better future. So I encourage us all to keep pushing forward. I also want to take a moment as the board president just to remind all the board members that not just that our community is watching, our students are watching, and how we engage with one another, especially in moments of disagreement, speaks just as loudly as the votes we cast. We don't always see eye to eye, and that's okay. But let's remember that respect must always be the foundation of our discussions. Our words and actions should reflect the values we want to instill in the students we serve: collaboration, integrity, and civility. So let's lead with purpose, with respect, and with understanding that at the end of the day, we have the same goal, doing what's best for our students and for our community. So with that, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lensing.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hannah. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned.